Welcome back to Calm AF. This is episode 321. I'm Kristen Finch, and just a little heads up, this episode may feel a little jarring. It may feel like not a personal attack, but something that you thought you really knew and now you're going to be surprised about. And we're going to talk about summer today. It's the season that we all kind of look forward to because of what it stands for: rest, fun, relaxation. But it actually kind of wrecks my high performers. Summer is not the calm season we all think it's going to be. It's, in my opinion, the most dysregulating season for my hyperachiever. And if this episode does kind of surprise you or resonate with you, you want to make sure you're subscribed to the private podcast, Hyperachiever to High Performer. We're going way deeper into what we're talking about today in this episode in the private podcast. And you really want to make sure you're subscribed like now, because there is a very special surprise coming this week, which I will talk about a little bit later, but you'll know all about if you're subscribed to that. So the link is in the show notes or at kristenfinch.com. So let's dive in. Let's talk about summer. We all love the idea of summer, right? Especially if you're in the US. I know it's everywhere, but especially in the US, where like the hustle, grind, burnout cycle is the cultural baseline. Summer is supposed to be the time when we all pause. It's like this collective permission slip. Hey, we've all been really tightly wound for the last 9 months, and we all are really like dying to slow down. So why don't we all do that together? Let's all recover from our burnout at the same time. We'll call it summer. Ready, go. And of course, you know me, I want this for you. I want you to rest, and I want you to be able to slow down. I want you to feel ease. But for most high performers, summer is not that blissful break that we imagine it's going to be, because here's what actually happens. The first few weeks, great, chef's kiss. It feels like you're really doing it. It feels like an exhale. And then you start feeling off, like, shouldn't more of this rest be better? I really feel like I should be enjoying this, but I'm starting to feel like this is a little bit of a free fall. This space that I've wanted, that I've been craving, now kind of feels like vast. I'm resting, but I don't feel rested. I'm not busy, but somehow I feel like I have less time. What is happening? What is this place? And what's wrong with me that I cannot just relax in this period of time where I'm supposed to relax? Let me start by assuring you there is nothing wrong with you, and you are definitely not alone. In fact, this episode is inspired by several conversations I've had just in the last few weeks, and the same conversation I have just about every single May for the last, decade. The high performer recognizes they want to stop the exhausting hypervigilant pattern. And they also recognize this isn't work that they have been able to do without support. So they reach out to me, they fill out the application, we meet, we decide it's a great fit and get ready to start. And what happens when we make decisions is that our brains love to say, okay, now what's the problem with this decision? And when it's May, the story that shows up in that brain again and again is, yeah, you definitely want to do this. It's a great idea, but it's almost summer. Summer is slow down season. Work is slower, structure goes out the window. There's no schedules. You got vacations, you have tournaments. It's the lazy days of summer. You don't want to be working on anything right now. You should wait until the fall. That's when you're super stressed. That's when life is crazy busy. So they bring that thought to me. Kristen, after I'm still all in, but I was just thinking, do you think it's a good idea if we wait until September? and then they tell me why, and then I tell them no. Not because I am like intent on starting right now. It's because I know that summer is actually the best time to start because there is a skill they think they already have. It's a skill they think they're really good at because of how much of their time they spend trying to achieve this skill. Hyperachievers think they know how to rest. They think they're really good at it. The problem is that their life keeps getting in the way and they just need to change their life circumstances somehow, get more organized, get more their shit together, whatever it is. That's what needs to happen in order for them to get to rest. I know better. I've been doing this a long time. My hyperachievers, listen to me carefully. You suck at resting. You're excellent at crashing, but true rest, the kind that lasts longer than a weekend, that skill you have not mastered yet. So I want to show you why this happened so you don't feel so bad, right? I'm going to use the Calm AF scale. It's a tool that I created. I teach it in everything I do. I teach it in depth in the upgrade. This is where you can see, based on the scale, where your nervous system is operating from at any given moment. And the scale goes on one side, it's like a number scale. One side is a -10. That is the hypovigilance side of the scale, or the freeze or shutdown side. Then it moves up to 0, which is regulated, and then all the way up to +10, which is hypervigilant. Now, as a hyperachiever, you spend most of your time on the hypervigilant side of the scale. This is overthinking, overworking, hyperfunctioning, energy managing, people pleasing, hustling, not from intention, but from a place of fear. That is where all of this urgent energy is coming from. I have to operate like this, otherwise the world's going to fall apart. Now, this hypervigilant side of the scale, this is your sympathetic nervous system in charge here. It's turning it on and turning it off. This is the part of your nervous system that says, hey, there has been some danger. Do something. Do something right now. Don't let this fall apart. Now, the truth is, because this is where you spend so much time, you do have a lot of tools that you know of and that you can use that will help you downregulate from hypervigilant down into regulated, into that Calm AF middle section of the scale. So you've read the books, you've downloaded the apps, you probably even can explain the science behind it. You've got meditations. You are not new to this. Applying it consistently, though, and staying regulated once you're there is a very different story. It's a very different skill. And here is why summer is the most dysregulating season for hypervigilant achievers. Because there's a thing that happens in the nervous system. When the sympathetic nervous system response stops working. So the world collectively has said, it's summer. Everybody slow down. Stop hustling. Just have fun. When that happens, your body doesn't really know how to respond when things still feel like they're going wrong because life is still happening even in the summer. So hustle mode isn't working here. And so the sympathetic nervous system is like, throws up its hands. It's like, I don't know. I have tried everything. I have tried to get her to hustle, but it's like the world has decided that we're not hustling right now. She has tried everything. I don't know what else to do. The sympathetic system is like, I'm out. Parasympathetic, specifically the dorsal vagal branch of the parasympathetic system, you're up. You are up. It's your time to shine. So the dorsal vagal branch activates and it steps in to protect you from whatever danger is showing up with this last-ditch effort. Just play dead. That's what the parasympathetic system says. Play dead. This is the free state. This is, like I said, your nervous system's last-ditch effort. Fight didn't work. Running didn't work. Fixing didn't work. This is all we've got left. Just play dead. And that is your nervous system's final attempt to keep you safe. So hypervigilance doesn't work, then we're going to go crash down into hypovigilance, and that's the loop. This is why summer feels so good in theory, and often about midway through, if you're lucky, it's so disappointing in practice because you are just swinging from one extreme to the other. It's like you're passing by regulation, that calm AF center of the scale, but never staying there. The good news is that, like I said, it's just a skill you can learn. And the best news is that we are moving into the time of year that is the best time to learn it, which is summer. And I have the best, like full circle from start to finish client story that shows what this looks like. So I have a private client. I will call her Melissa. Melissa came to me in May. I believe it's either been 2 or 3 years now. Time flies when you're having fun. But Melissa is a total badass. She leads a large team. She does really important work out in the world. And May, 2 or 3 years ago, she recognized, like, I am just struggling. I know that I am, slowing myself down by how fast I'm trying to get things done. I need help. She had been following me, listened for a while, knew I was the right fit. So she went through the steps. She filled out the application. It was a great fit. And we were set to get started right away. You already know, because I already shared, this is what happens in May. So she went off, she comes back and says, hey, I've been thinking I'm ready, but would it make more sense to start in the fall? And listen, Melissa had some like legit reasons. Her kids had camps back to back all through June. In July, like all of July and part of August, she was going to the beach with her entire extended family. So not like her husband and her kids, her siblings, her cousins, grandparents, in-laws, like all of the things. And they were all in a big house together for the whole summer, which is amazing, right? But basically 0 alone time. So how am I going to like get away to work on myself? Plus her actual work, her job slows down in the summer, which I've learned is pretty typical for most companies, is that Q3 seems to be really more about like maintenance than momentum. And that was definitely true for Melissa. In fact, one of her things was it's nearly impossible for me to get people to commit to basically anything in July. So she kind of made this mean, well, then, that's the time that I really need to be working with you, is when I do have all these meetings and I do have all these things happening. She's like, I am less stressed in the summer. I'm with people I love. I'm at the beach. I'm not obsessing about the things that I obsess about all year long. I just kind of let myself not worry about things in the summer. So what do you think? Doesn't it make more sense to start when life is more stressful in the fall? Again, you already know what the problem is here because we've been talking about it this whole episode, but Melissa didn't know yet. So I said to her, listen, you can wait. It truly doesn't matter to me when our 6 months together starts. But since you've already hired me, I'm already your coach. I'm going to give you some coaching. I'm going to show you something that you don't see yet. You are telling me that summer is less stressful, but in your application, you told me how hard your weekends are, how you really struggle with downtime, especially with your husband. You struggle kind of with holidays and weekends, and that this overwhelm gets you to the point where you tend to numb out more than you like, and you feel like kind of angry, kind of antsy. And so now you're asking me, can I do that for the whole summer? Right? You're asking me to co-sign a summer of shutdown. You're thinking it's rest so that you can white knuckle your way through the fall again. And I was like, Melissa, if I said, yes, I agree, or yes, I think that's what you should do, I wouldn't be doing my job. And also, let's be honest. I want you to look back at your past summers. How do you actually feel? I want you to take yourself to like 2 weeks in to July, and it's a random Tuesday. How are you feeling on that day? Like, are you feeling less stressed and connected and present and joyful the way you want to feel? Is that what it usually looks like? And she was like, oh shit. She's like, honestly, I have a very vivid memory. I know the exact moment from last summer. It was a couple days in, maybe less than 2 weeks in. And I had decided, I was so overwhelmed already and so over everything. I was like over it, that I offered to take all of the kids, every single kid, not just my kid, all of the kids. I think there was definitely more than 10 kids. And I offered to take all of them on a walk by myself so that, I told everyone it was so that they could just have a quiet afternoon. But it was really because I didn't know any other way to just get away. I knew if I offered that, like my husband was not going to be like, I'll come with you and 20,000 kids. And my sister wasn't going to want to come. She was like, I was so burned out. That was my rest. And she was like, I cried the whole walk. And it was maybe 7-8 days into the trip. So I was like, yeah, what if this summer you don't have to do that? What if you don't have to take 30 kids on a walk by yourself at the beach just to get away? What if you don't have to disappear on yourself this summer? And obviously she was like, yes, of course, we're starting right now. And that summer in July, she was sending me voice notes from the beach. She was getting the coaching that she needed in the moments when she needed them. So she's sipping her coffee on the patio and she is saying, hey, here's where I'm at right now. Here's what I think is going to trigger me. Here's what I'm going to try. And so that I could just reach out and give coaching if she needed it, when she needed it. She didn't confuse, for the first time, numbing out with relaxing. She could see the difference now between rest and hypervigilance, which most of my hyperachievers, they don't know. So here is the full circle moment that I love. This client of mine has been with me ever since. So we started in that summer, and she works with me now on a retainer package. So basically, she reaches out in the times that she needs support, but it's not super, structured anymore. And last week she sent me a Vox and she was like, hey, do you happen to have space for me to upgrade? I would love to add a couple calls in this summer because I've got some things that I would love to focus on. And I know that summer is going to be the perfect time because I'm going to have some space and I'm going to have some time to slow down. And I was like, oh, look at that. Look at that. I love that. So you and me right now, let's fast forward to September 1st, 3 months-ish from now. How do you want to feel on September 1st? How do you want to have spent this summer? Do you want to feel rested, regulated? Do you want to feel excited and ready to move into that structured, best feeling of back to school energy? Or are you just okay with kind of doing the same thing? Still getting to the end of summer being like, whew, I did it. I survived. Thank God all of the structure and the busyness is back again. You don't have to wait for the next summer to do this. You don't have to become something different immediately overnight. You can regulate on purpose and you can start right now. Remember, there's just one skill to learn, and that is how to stay regulated without spiraling down into hypervigilance, without shutting down. Now, one way to go a little bit deeper, starting right now, my private podcast, Hyperachiever to High Performer. This is where I'm really breaking down the tools and I dive into the skill of not only getting regulated, but staying regulated more. So make sure you're subscribed. Make sure you listen. The link is in the show notes if you aren't yet. But also, if you aren't subscribed, you want to make sure you are now, or that you get my emails, because I am about to share a very special edition of the upgrade that I am starting June 1st. It's called the Calm AF Summer Upgrade. Enrollment is only going to be open from May 23rd, which is this Friday, May 23rd, 2025, in case you're listening from the future, to May 26th, 2025, which is Monday. It's a very small enrollment window. That's for a reason, because this round includes a very special bonus. This is something that I get asked for all the time, and I am finally including it. I'm finally saying yes to it. So to find out about all of those details and get information for when the enrollment opens, make sure that you are subscribed to the private podcast or to my emails. The link to grab the private podcast is in the show notes, or you can head over to KristenFinch.com. All right, here's to you. Here's to a Calm AF summer. Let's do it together. Thanks for listening. I'll see you next time.